Hello, everybody. This is the TBK podcast. Main host tonight is myself, LL. Today, we have with us Tunde, and we have one of our newest members in the Boxing Banter group, which is Dash. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share. And yeah, let's get to this, man. Ryan Garcia versus Luke Campbell. I mean, before we get into anything about this fight, Tunde, you know what I'm going to say. Before we get into this fight, the last podcast we done, me and Tunde had a bet. And, I would just like to say, Tunde, he's a man of honor. He paid his debts. I didn't have to get all 50 cent on him and send the goons round and that, yeah? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't have to send the goons, you know what I mean? As soon as that body shot landed, the payment was swiftly in my account. So respect for that, Tunde. And next fight night, you call it and I'll give you an opportunity to win your money back, yeah? All right. So let's start with Dash here. Tell me what your impressions was of the fight and how you think it went and how you think Ryan looked.
I remember in the group you were saying that Luke looked a bit more confident and Ryan Garcia looked nervous, and I agreed with you, But once they was in the ring, that synopsis kind of flipped with Luke Campbell being the challenger in a away country. I felt he should have put a bit more pressure on Garcia, There was times I think he lacked a bit of intent with his jab, and Garcia's a front foot boxer going forward. He was going forward, and the times Luke did put a little bit pressure on him and showed a bit more intent, it unbalanced Garcia a bit or just knocked him off his flow, So that's what I gauged from a bit earlier on.
What about yourself, Tunde?
Luke Campbell seemed very sort of like cagey, sort of the first round, which he lost, quite comfortably. Garcia looked very relaxed as soon as the bell went. Like he could, the way he normally fights is exactly how he fought in that first round, where he had almost, he fought in a nonchalant manner that, in a way that nothing that Campbell could do would affect him. He got the shock of his life in the second round when he got put on his back, and I was thinking, I've won this bet. But Garcia, he shocked me in that, this is the first sort of fringe world-class fighter he's come up against, and he beat comfortably despite the knockdown. And that body shot was sickening. Was a thing of beauty. Yeah. It was, like you could see from when Campbell got down on one knee, then the other knee went. I was like, it's done. That's when I just put the money. Yeah, I put the money in. I didn't even bother waiting for the count. As soon as the second knee went down, I was like, I can't even swear. I just put the money straight into the count. It's done. For me, he surprised me. Like, he took that knockdown well, and he bossed the fight at times. I mean, the fight was competitive, but I just felt that Luke Campbell, as you said, Dash, he's going to another country. He's fighting in a different environment. As the challenger, he has to, really put his front foot forward and really sort of like, take charge, step into the center of the ring, like push Garcia back. Be a bit more of a bully. Like you've got to bully the bully. Especially, in a situation whereby, you're fighting in the opponent's backyard, you can't let a fight like that go to points, or obviously he shouldn't. He has to take he has to take charge of the fight, and he didn't do that. I mean, he had spots where, he caught Garcia coming in, but it wasn't enough for me. And it just seemed like he was, I don't know, he just seemed a bit too hesitant, and I've not seen that in him before. So I think now he's taken a knockdown, he's come back up, he's bossed the fight. My thing is, I would like to see him, I don't want to see him fight Tank, because Tank will just absolutely do him. But Haney would be a good matchup. So, but yeah, he He surprised me. He impressed me.
I mean, my personal opinion, Luke Campbell, I think going into the fight, Luke Campbell probably viewed Garcia as more of a counter puncher as opposed to like a front foot fighter. That's why I kind of disagree with you a little bit, Dash. Like, I think he saw him as a counter puncher. So what he was going to try and do was offset him by making him wait. Yeah, do you know what I mean? By making him wait on having to react to what Luke was doing. But I feel like Garcia surprised Luke by just coming forward and being so aggressive. I do think Garcia was nervous, but this is what happens when a fighter has nerves. It either you know, shocks them into action, or they get stunned under the bright lights and they freeze. For sure. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like Garcia, he just reacted very positively. Yeah, do you know what I mean? I mean, even with the knockdown, I was so impressed, by how he took that knockdown. Yeah. Like, there's certain members in the group who, you know, they look at things like, you know, skill set and all of this kind of stuff. And don't get me wrong, that's all good and well. But me, I like to look at the psychology and the mindset.
The character.
The character, right, exactly. And he showed so much character in that fight. Like, with the way how he reacted to that knockdown, it's like he was insulted and he was embarrassed. And straight away, all he done, he just tried to get it back straight away. And as soon as he went down, I ain't gonna lie, sorry for swearing, but I screamed and I thought, oh no, oh man, I did not plan on paying any money out. You know what I mean? I said, oh. And then, but when he got up, I said, you know what? This kid showed the heart of a champion. Yeah. Like, he showed the heart of a champion and he showed heart in that, And I just think his aggression just threw Luke off a little bit. I mean, there was a lot of flaws as well. There was a lot of flaws. And
I just think Luke wasn't picking up on them, you know. Like you said, I think he was startled a bit by the energy of the night. And like you said, Garcia's forthcoming, just always coming on top of him. There was times when Luke could have doubled up on the jab. And then because he was southpaw against orthodox, it was set up for him a bit, because I could see that Ryan's hand, his right hand kept dropping, kept dropping a bit more. So it was set up for him to double up and then throw and then pivot out. With his footwork was very, they was on top of each other. Yeah, and for him to pivot out, it would have allowed him that half a second or second more to sit up again. But I just think his energy was really off. His energy was off.
And this is why I was a bit disappointed with Campbell, despite him knocking him down in the second round, because there was Garcia's footwork is poor. It's poor. And he's someone that, because he's got such quick hand speed, what he thinks of. He feels that he can just get himself out of trouble. Now, when he fights the truly elite, he'll get found out. Because he doesn't have the footwork to get himself away from trouble.
There's something that Garcia, I don't quite know how to describe it. Yeah, and I'm probably, I might sound really silly kind of explaining it. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Because I'm not all technical in that with it. I can only go by what I see. Yeah, but Garcia, he does this thing, where when he pulls back, the best way I can describe it as, you remember when Muhammad Ali was going to fight George Foreman, and he said George Foreman's like a zombie, and he put both of his hands out like a zombie. Yeah. It's like Garcia, he does this thing where when he's fighting, it's like when he's pulling back, he pulls back with both of his hands stretched out, almost like he's trying to push his opponent away. And it's that was when he actually done that when Luke dropped him. And it was something that he kept on doing in the fight. And I think Luke closed the distance on him twice. The first time, obviously, he dropped him. The second time, Garcia was more acclimatized to Luke's punch power. But I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, if you're fighting someone who's fleet-footed, someone like Tank Davis, who can close the distance on you quickly, with power. Do you know what I mean? Someone like Devin Haney, who can actually close the distance on you because they've actually got really quick feet. It's gonna be a problem. It's gonna be a problem. Yeah, do you know what I mean? His feet are firmly planted and his footwork didn't seem that great, but I guess that's where he gets his power from.
Generates it through him, Yeah,
do you know what I mean? He's a really good puncher. I was really surprised by his punch power, to be honest. I was really surprised by it. I don't know why, because I've seen him fight before, but just on this night, he seemed very strong to me. But it's like everyone's saying, he needs to avoid Tank. Don't fight Tank yet. You should fight Devin Haney instead. I don't even think he should fight Devin Haney right now, to be honest. I more see him trying to take the route of trying to fight one of them old school veterans, like a Linares. He probably chased the Linares fight again, but all of this talk about fighting Tank and all of that, I really don't believe that Oscar is really going to put him in there with Tank here, because Tank done a tweet the other day and he said Oscar must still be on coke. And I'm like,
I saw that yesterday.
And I'm like, listen, if Oscar puts that kid in there with Tank, he must clearly be on coke or something, man, because like I see Ryan Garcia, like I said in the last podcast, I see him as someone who will probably be a later bloomer than some of the other guys coming up, you know, like the Sakur Stevensons, the Devin Haneys, the Teofimo Lopez's, you know, Tank Davis. He might come up a little bit later, but he's actually got something there, and Oscar actually just needs to take his time with him and let Reynoso work with him, because I think Reynoso's an excellent coach. Yeah, do you know what I mean? I think he's excellent, and yeah, he needs more time. I don't think he should be rushed into a big fight yet.
I agree with you. He needs a bit more season. There's something there. I think the perception of Garcia is that he's style over substance. And that's exacerbated by the fact that, you know, he's known as a pretty boy and whatnot. But
okay, go on.
Sorry to cut you. The thing is, though, there's a certain type of fighter. They've got a very nasty streak of viciousness in him, them, right? And he has it. De La Hoya was exactly the same, right? He's got an absolutely beautiful hook.
Yeah, he's left hook.
Right? Like, you know, it's a thing of beauty. But, you know, those were lower level opposition. Seeing him do that to Campbell, although there were mistakes, that's not been done to Luke Campbell. Not by Linares, not by Lomachenko. That's never been done to him at all, right? And this isn't somebody who is like a domestic level fighter. This is a former Olympic gold medalist. This is somebody who's had 2 world title fights, and he's acquitted himself fairly well in both of them, despite losing. So this is not somebody who's a pushover, and he's done that to him. Yeah, he absolutely murdered him with that body blow.
It
finished him.
It was so sharp. Like, I saw it coming. I actually saw the punch, and it was just so sharp, man.
He stepped into it.
Yeah,
so that threw up Luke's hands, because he was thinking, "No, not on my head." And then he's like, "I got you." He's like, "I got you," and then he stepped away from it.
The problem is his accuracy, because that was one accurate
on the money
shot. When you hit somebody in the liver like that, I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are. Like, you get hit by that, then you're on the floor.
Yeah. The perception of Garcia is him, you know, him being a pretty boy, him having style over substance. I think he done his part in changing that perception of himself slightly last night.
Yes.
Yeah, and you know, we've seen this with a lot of fighters over the years. You know, fighters who, you know, are very skillful, fighters who are slick, you know, fighters who are, you know, quote unquote good looking. You know, the fans will always question whether they're style over substance, and they have these tests where they prove it, where they prove that they are, you know, they actually do have substance. And I thought Garcia done that last night. I mean, we can look at his skill set and say that there was flaws and stuff that, but I think one of the most important things to take away from that fight was that he showed character, man.
Yeah, and that's something that can't be trained.
That can't be trained.
His skill can be trained.
Exactly, and you know, there was someone in our group, Darnell. I mean, he's done a podcast with us before. We probably have to get him on again. And, you know, he talks about Sakur Stevenson. He really likes Sakur Stevenson. I mean, don't get me wrong, Sakur Stevenson, he's excellent. I think he's excellent. He's one of the top guys out of the young guys coming up.
Yeah.
I like him.
Yeah, I like him a lot. Same with Devin Haney. But we haven't seen these guys in that type of test. Like when I talk about it, okay, for me, like Darnell, for example, he was saying, like, you know, he just basically trashed Luke Campbell. He said he's trash and Garcia's trash, and, you know, he's just, you know, he's American. He's like that, isn't it? Yeah. But for me, I think it's about what a fighter goes through in the ring, and when you look at how a fighter reacts to adversity in the ring, yeah. And right now, I haven't seen Sakur Stevenson actually have to deal with adversity. I haven't seen Devin Haney have to deal with adversity. Teofimo, we've seen Teofimo deal with adversity. We've seen him, like, you know, against Lomachenko, a couple of them rounds, Lomachenko stuck it on him, and he actually fought through it. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, you know, Tank Davis. Now we've seen Tank Davis get touched. We've seen him have like a couple strange performances as well, but he has found a way to win. With Sakur Stevenson and Devin Haney, I haven't seen that yet. I would really like to see those two guys go through that type of test before I kind of see them kind of square up against each other. Yeah. Like, if I'm honest, yeah, do you know what I mean? I would love to see these guys fight, but I don't know. That's the thing. As a fight fan, you want to see all these guys fight, but then at the same time, I don't know if I want to see them
at the right time, innit?
Yeah, I don't know if I want to see them cancel each other out just yet. Just yet. I want to see them fight when they're all at their best. That's
what I was thinking about that earlier on, you know. I was thinking, like, you know, in the 70s when everyone at their prime just fought each other. There weren't no politics about money. You know, the Arleys, the Frasers, they was all just going at it. There weren't so much politics. Even in the 90s, like in the middleweights, when everyone was just banging at each other. Nowadays, we see more people talking their way out of things or saying, you're not ready, you're not right, or the money's not right, stuff like that. But yeah, I agree with you. I think they're prospects, they got a lot of potential, and I think it has to be at the right time because, like you said, the character will shine through better than just the skill set and someone knocking someone out that's not really reached their full potential yet. Then when we're judging them, it would probably won't even be a fair judgment on them, you know, because their skill sets haven't been properly sharpened as yet, you know. I kind of agree with you there.
Yeah. I mean, let's wrap this up. I mean, Tunde, is there anything that you'd like to add to the discussion?
No, just following on from you know, Dash's point about not for the fighters not to meet each other yet. While I agree, they're not going to meet each other yet simply because there's so many different belts. Yeah. Right. In the 70s, the reason why they fought each other is because there was I think the WBC, most probably I think the WBA or whatever. So they had to fight each other in order to get themselves in the position. Yeah. Like, so the politics will probably help anyway. So once they're in the position whereby, you know, they've gone through their trials and tribulations and they're at a point where they're at their absolute peak, then that'll be the time for them to meet each other. But I'm in agreement. I'm very happy with the talent we have, you know, at that weight, the young talent that's coming through. I do think that Garcia needs to season himself a little bit more, take on the Linares of the. Is
that who you like to see him fight next? Yeah.
Yeah. I'd really like that fight, and that will be sort of like a good marker of where he is, because if he puts him away the same way he's done Luke Campbell, then it's a case of, is it now? Right. Okay, cool. So that if he does that, then that is somebody who is truly dangerous. Yeah. And that will sort of like, you know, people be looking at Tank like, are you sure you want to take this guy on? Because he won't be seen as a pretty boy anymore. He'll be seen as a killer. Yeah.
These are character building fights. These are character building fights. Yeah.
And the thing is, you know, Ryan Garcia knows that he can be hurt, put down, and you'll come back up. He knows this now. He knows this about himself. And as you were saying, you know, the Haneys and the Stevensons and whatnot, they don't know that yet. They haven't really been through. They've been through the wars yet. Do you know what I mean? They haven't been hurt. They haven't been put down. So I agree with what you're saying about, you know, skill is great and having the right fundamentals and power and whatnot. But that grit, that determination to just take whatever comes at you and still get back up, like that will carry a boxer really, really fast.
Thank you to everyone who was listening. This is the TBK podcast. Myself, LL, Tunde, and Dash, we're signing out.
And this is the TBK podcast.